Hello, YouTube. Hello, cosmonauts. Today we got a new interview with Hesham, the co-founder of the Elys protocol, the Elys network, actually. And today we'll speak about the Elys itself and the Cosmos Hub in general. So, hello, Hesham.
Hi, Max. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. So, let's start. Can you make a small introduction about who are you and how you came into the crypto?
Thank you for that. So my name is Hesham. I'm a co-founder and growth lead for Elys Network. My intro into crypto is probably very similar to many others, which is my first experience was through Bitcoin. I learned about it through, some colleagues and friends. So my first entrance into Bitcoin was in 2017, and it was a wild ride, right? So it was something I'd never really expected to get to get really deeper into, but um, along the way, I kind of continued to search more about Ethereum and then learn more about like other altcoins, and then started to really click very quickly what was being built out in the space in terms of not just the cryptocurrency side of things, but the actual digital asset side, products and services. So the past 7, 8 years have been phenomenal. It's been a really great learning experience. I've come into contact with some incredible people in the space and really like the visionaries out there who are continue to build these really amazing things to tokenize, assets and put them in a place where there's trust and transparency and security is something I really want to be a part of. And so in the past 4 years or so, I got turned on to the Cosmos ecosystem. Quickly saw like what was being built kind of with Atom's Internet of Blockchains concept, and I just thought that was an incredible scaling solution and a really great way for people to customize whatever they wanted to build. When I saw that opportunity, I quickly kind of jumped into the space as like an early DeFi user and started to play around with like the products and services that were available. And I realized, yes, it was a little early, but at the same time, the opportunity was there. So I've been a big supporter of Cosmos specifically, and the various projects that have been built in the space, such as Osmosis, Cash, Fetch, which is now ASI, and then I ended up meeting from various chains, I ended up meeting my partners who I co-founded Elys Network with. So we've been building Elys Network for the past 2 years now, and yeah, the future looks bright. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's great introduction. So let's speak about the Elys network. How the idea was born and how it was created, like basically, because it's kind of crazy every time we sing DEX, and it's a bit difficult thing to do.
For us, I think it came from being early DeFi users. We recognized that there were a lot of pain points, a lot of constraints. The first pioneers of DeFi, really, we owe a lot to them for the kind of the vision that they had to take the existing products that were out there, maybe like in the equities markets or in the financial services or anything that you could kind of see in like the traditional world, and try to kind of take it one step further in the digital asset world. So early DeFi users probably, their first entrance into that, they usually get in through like a centralized exchange. And then from there, maybe most of them don't leave. But then the ones that did and maybe tried to go out and try to do things on chain directly from like their own self-custody would do it through something like a Uniswap, right? Most of us probably had experience doing something on Uniswap. And then in Cosmos, obviously, most likely the majority of our experience was on Osmosis. And so as early DeFi users, we saw how that was being built out and we were pretty excited about it, right? There was a lot of liquidity flowing in. There was a lot of opportunity to get involved in various swapping of assets, providing liquidity, and then trying some novel like ideas out there, such as like leverage trading or whatever for those who were allowed to participate in those. For us, we saw the failures in the system in the ecosystem as one of the things that we learned lessons from, that as DeFi users, we wanted to like eliminate a lot of like the pain points and the hurdles and the challenges. We identified several things such as tokenomics. That was a big one for us. Where if you had unsustainable tokenomics, no matter how good your product was, it was always going to, end up causing some sort of like value destruction. Another one was simply like, what is your path to revenue generation? So how does a chain actually generate enough fees to sustain itself to be able to, cover the cost of infrastructure, the validators, the development and everything that goes into that, the marketing, everything that you need to essentially to keep going. How do you actually get to the point where you're generating enough revenue? And then as a user, how do I get in? How do I use the product safely? And how do I benefit from this? And how do I stay for the long term? So we recognize that a lot of those questions had not been fully answered with early DeFi projects. So the other founders and I came together and essentially tried to tackle this problem with Elys Network. So we try to solve those main issues. One, we want to, take, help a user break free from the reliance on centralized exchanges. Two, we want to be a very sustaining project with real revenue generation. Three, we want to have really sustainable tokenomics so that nobody feels like the actual like structure there for how the tokens kind of circulate or are emitted will ever lead to any kind of value destruction. So those are really, really important for us. And then the experience itself has to be so clean and so intuitive that they'll want to stay. So the products that we offer are kind of like a comprehensive DeFi suite. We currently launched with liquidity pools and leverage LP, and then we have obviously the ability to swap tokens. We'll be rolling out a lot more features such as expanded earn pools. So we have a USDC earn pool right now. We'll be adding the Atom earn pool soon, and we'll be able to add like, for example, you could single stake Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything like that once those are available. And then we'll have perpetual trading. So a lot more coming in the roadmap, things like derivatives trading. We could dive into any of those a little bit later on, but that's kind of the mission and kind of the vision that we have for Elys Network.
Great, absolutely great story behind the list. So, can we speak a bit more about what is the main difference between Elys and other DEXes, not only in the Cosmos ecosystem, for example, if we will speak about probably Solana, for example, Jupiter or something like that, why people need to use Elys?
Well, we look at it as kind of a complementary DeFi offering. So we don't consider ourselves a competitor, for example, to like Osmosis or DYDX or Injective. We are a comprehensive suite, so we'll have all of the different offerings, whether you want to provide liquidity, swap, leverage LP, leverage trade, perpetual trade, et cetera, derivatives trading. But for us, our real focus is really to be more of like a financial access point for people who are coming in and out of the space. So our belief is that if you have a single financial center for an entire blockchain or ecosystem, that can actually be a massive friction point, or it can be a very inefficient way to move assets in an ecosystem. So rather than have everything kind of moved into one specific location, we actually promote the idea of having various financial centers across an ecosystem, similar to what you see like in any economy, right? Like you would never want your country to only have one bank. That would probably be a threat, right? So instead, you want hundreds, if not thousands, of options for you to have your banking. And what that does is it promotes healthy innovation. It promotes cross flow, which is really, really important. So one of the examples that I give is when we have a liquidity pool on Elys Network, and that liquidity pool also exists on Osmosis, you now have an opportunity for arbitrage traders to actually be able to arbitrage back and forth between those two liquidity pools rather than have to go to a centralized exchange. So again, I take that back to our wanting to get users to take their reliance off of centralized exchanges and move it into the DeFi space. So we think that our existence is actually um, not meant to like necessarily replace another DeFi product or compete with another DeFi product. We're there to complement other DeFi products. So when we can do that, we can actually promote more and more liquidity that comes into the space and stays in the space. And then it actually that crossflow, that healthy crossflow, or like the efficiency reduces things like slippage. It reduces things like fees, perhaps, as more and more like opportunities like arise in the ecosystem. And more importantly, we solve the asymmetry problem. So our real mission here is to take the asymmetry of the 350-ish million people that are on centralized exchanges and convert those users over to DeFi users, because there's only about 10 million or less DeFi users total. So that's where we're goal. That's our goal. We actually partner up with a lot of DeFi platforms out there. We want to be we want to like be hand in hand with them, presenting a unified front, and it kind of goes into our alignment with the Cosmos, with Atom as well.
Great. Okay. So, to involve more amount of people, we need to see some kind of the mass adoption. Will we see some credit cards options on Elys and kind of more direct way to use Elys as a DEX option?
So currently we are working with multiple partners to do like a direct fiat on-ramp. So we're talking to Cato, MoonPay, OnRamper, and I believe we're also talking to uTorg. And then we just initiated talks with Mercurio, I believe that's how you say it. So they're very exciting, like to be able to actually incorporate these features. So what they'll do, since you can essentially integrate them to your platform and you can connect to them for your fiat or credit card on-ramp. They take care of the KYC, right? They know your customer. And then that way we don't have to do it, right? And that's one of the things that we're kind of like we don't want to get involved in any of the privacy matters for an individual user. So a third party would then be able to handle the transaction of collecting your funds from your bank account or a credit card, and then you'd be able to bring them in via either USDC, Atom, uh, maybe Elys if they can natively support Elys. That's something that they'd have to build towards. And then you'd be able to bring it onto the chain and then be able to swap it, stake it, participate in any kind of like leverage, whatever it is that you want to do. So we're excited to have those. Things like credit cards will probably be further down the line. I think, we'd have to look into like regulatory restrictions and any of the things that like probably are things that we probably wouldn't be suited to handle ourselves, but maybe we could work with a third party to do where they have the licensing and the proper credentials to do so.
Okay, so probably in the future we'll be able to do it like directly without any other things to do. I also would like to know, maybe Alice is planning to set own card like Osmosis did, because it's kind of cool feature to get the card which is directly make you able to pay by crypto and something like that. Or it also some kind of tough thing to realize to release because of the jurisdictions and all the things.
That is a big challenge. We're excited about that as a concept, right? So like any of the partners that we have or the friends that we have in the space that are building towards those things and releasing those, I think that's a really great thing, especially because it just gives users optionality. So we currently don't have it on our roadmap right now. It's probably not our niche, but we could definitely partner with some of the people who already have these offerings and see like if we could, get involved with them. Certainly open to that input, and we'd love to hear from the community about it, especially if that's something that's really important to them. We would aggregate that, that input and then determine how important it is on our roadmap. We could add it. So currently not on our roadmap though for 2025.
Okay, okay. I also would like to speak about the DEXs and sexes. How do you see the future of it? For example, will we move directly to the sex options, or we will move directly to the DEX options, or it will stay like both options for people? Because nowadays it's kind of challenge things for everyone because you need KYC and other things to use crypto legally, and DEXs provide you the opportunity to do it without your documents. So, what is your opinion the future of the crypto finance?
This is a really great question. I think it's a problem that a lot of people are trying to work towards, like finding sensible solutions. So right now, the reason users are very heavily skewed towards using centralized exchanges is simply they perceive it, whether it's true or not, they perceive that that's kind of their only realistic option. That they can, quickly create a login, go through the KYC process, and then they're on the centralized exchange and then able to swap and able to interact with just about every chain without having to leave a single platform. So they feel like that's kind of their only option. Now, when somebody kind of takes the time to educate themselves, or maybe they're able to get a little bit of exposure to interacting with the chain directly with their DeFi wallet, that opens up a lot of opportunity for them. That's where they get the Uniswap or the Osmosis or the Elys exposure. But how do you get there? What is the pathway to getting from a centralized exchange to a decentralized exchange if nobody's really taking you there and the marketing efforts of a centralized exchange are designed to keep you there, right? So this is our job as proponents and founders in the DeFi space and proponents of decentralization and self-custody, where we have the opportunity collectively to band together and form like an alliance or form a an aligned, kind of messaging platform to be able to go and essentially educate users on the benefits of DeFi. So that's a very, very daunting task because obviously, if you try to do this from the marketing side, they can outspend you, right? They have unlimited amounts of money at this point. They have so much money, right? So Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Bybit, they have a lot of money, have a lot of users, and they've earned those users, and they have their user experience allows them to keep those users in, whether you like them or not. Personally, the reason I want, I think this is like a passion of mine to really want to see us work through this problem is because of how much centralized exchanges charge in fees, right? A lot of times like people don't realize how hard they're getting hit on whether it's like a price impact slippage type issue or whether it's fees baked in, even if they tell you that it's zero fees. I demonstrated a swap a couple weeks ago where I could purchase injective. I could purchase like $5,000 worth of injective through skip.go's platform, and it was routed through osmosis. And it was essentially I could get $5,000 worth of injective, right, for 5,000 USDC. If I did the same swap on Coinbase, I would get $4,500 worth of injective. That's a $500 spread, $500 difference. That is completely unacceptable. This is the problem we're trying to solve, right? That's a 10% difference. And so I I want I want to be a part of at least giving people the choice and the power to be able to take that decision, put it in their own hands, instead of saying, well, I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to stay on this platform because I don't have any other choices. So what does the future look like? The future looks like us giving them easier access points to get into the space. It's one of the reasons why we added social logins to Elys Network. So a brand new user who we want to demonstrate the app to, we could go, hey, go to app.elys.network. Okay, what do I do now? Log in. How do I log in? How do I make a wallet? Simple, just log in with your Google or your X account or your Apple account, and you're in. Oh, wow, that was easy. I didn't know that I could create a DeFi wallet that easily. You can. Now, is that the preferred method? It may not be, right? If you're dealing with a large amount of funds, you probably still want to use a cold storage wallet like a Ledger. But this is a great way to get an introduction, right, to the space and then be able to come in and take a look around and then learn about all these other tokens. Oh, I see a Cash. I see Osmosis. I see Celestia. I see all these really cool projects. Let me go read about them. And that's how we do it, right? So we want to be an access point to the Cosmos ecosystem to help benefit the rest of the ecosystem. We're here to grow the entire ecosystem with our partners. And that is, I think, like when you think about going forward, we do have to replicate some of the things that centralized exchanges do very, very well. And when decentralized exchanges have that ability to replicate that experience and replicate the ease of use, then we're more on a level playing field, and it just becomes a time problem. Right now, you're just waiting. You're building up the time that required to get more and more like a user awareness, and then eventually, once you hit that kind of like escape velocity, so to speak, where people are finally talking about it, finally excited about it, and letting their friends know, and letting their parents know, and their cousins, etc. Now, because it's easy and there's no hurdles for them to get in, you can now equalize this great asymmetry between centralized and decentralized exchanges.
Okay, okay, very nice answer. Let's speak a bit about the Elys future. How do you see the project in the future, and what are you going to do to make the Elys top tier DEX in the whole crypto space?
Ellis has a very bright future, in my opinion. Of course, I'm biased to say that, but we launched in December. We had our token generation event, and in the past 2 months, this is actually exactly 2 months now, that we have exceeded 2 million in TVL. So that does not include Ellis staking, of course. If you include Ellis staking, I think we're above of 3.5 million in TVL. So we're excited about the organic movement. We have a lot of plans to essentially attract more liquidity. So one of those is opening up the Atom Earn pool, which will enable us to participate in the next round of Hydro. We'll be asking for about 100,000 Atom in the auction, which would take our TVL up to at least 2.5 million. And then from there, what it'll do is it'll generate a lot more activity in terms of like borrows or other activity that could occur with our liquidity pools, et cetera. And then we'll continue to expand that the earn pool offerings for single tokens, continuing out to like whatever other chains that we connect to. So right now we have Axelar currently still working on whitelisting us so that we can bring in Ethereum. That's going to be a big one for us. I think once we have Ethereum on board and Ethereum assets, that will really open up a whole new, demographic of users who have been waiting to get on Elys Network, but their particular token they want to use or provide liquidity on is not available yet. So big things coming. We've been told about 2 to 3 more weeks on that. So we're very, very excited. We'll make an announcement. We'll probably do a live stream or a space with them. Maybe we could do a follow-up interview here as well once that happens. So a lot of different like integrations that are coming. We've been working with Agoric to have smart contract integration orchestration. So what Agoric does is actually really, really exciting, and it's one of these like AI like first steps into the AI evolution or revolution, where, for example, a user can create a smart contract using Agoric's orchestration to allow them to do things across chains and across time. So if I was staking Atom, I could program a smart contract through Agoric to collect my staking rewards, claim my staking rewards from Atom, IBC transfer them to Elys Network, and then put them into the Atom earn pool. And I could also program Agoric to basically tell my wallet essentially to rebalance my portfolio at, once I have a weighting of, let's say, 30% Elys and or 10% Atom, I want to rebalance that to 12% Atom, whatever, right? So like you could all do that completely hands off. So you program it and you could walk away and it would just take care of it for you. So that whole concept of like, automation is really, really important in terms of making the experience easier, because centralized exchanges will probably lag in this area. I don't think they're gonna want to do that for you, because that they don't want you to find ways to make more money. They want to find ways for you to pay more fees. So that's one of the things that like I think is going to be really exciting for users, because they're looking for uh, the frictionless experience. And so that's our goal, right? So for us to be a world-class decentralized platform, we have to have a frictionless experience. We have to have a very, very seamless, intuitive experience. So that's what we constantly iterate on. We constantly take feedback from our community to make sure that, whether it's button placement, whether it's layout, whether it's any of the features that we have, it's very, very easy so that they don't have to reference documents or anything like that for them to kind of continue to interact with the platform.